Greetings. My name is Eszylfie Taylor. I am the founder and creator of the Taylor Method and president of Taylor Insurance and Financial Services. Today, I'll be focusing in on the second pillar of four of the Taylor Method. Again, we have the approach. What do I say to get in front of people? Secondly, we have the fact find when I'm in front of them. What questions do I ask, right? And the third is the opportunity, right? Within the way they've answered those questions, where's the opportunity for the sale? And lastly, the close, the call to action. Oftentimes, I think that people don't take into account or appreciate the importance of fact finding. Always say, I don't have to be perfect. I simply have to be better than what you have. And how can I determine if I have something better than what you have if I don't know where you are? And so the language that I use as I introduce this fact finding process with clients is I simply want to identify where you are today. More importantly, figure out where you want to be in the future and then help you develop an action plan to make sure that you reach your financial goals. And that's really it, right? It's like going to see a doctor. Imagine going into a doctor's office and the doctor said, here, take this prescription and we're going to do surgery at 2 o'clock. You'd go, wait, what? You're just going to have me take these pills and you're going to cut me open? You're not even going to ask me questions? Is that not what we do when clients walk into our office and we say, hey, we'll buy this insurance policy or invest here? We need to identify where they are today, more importantly, where they want to be in the future, and then make recommendations, right? Stop selling products and look to solve problems. This was a game changer for me. You see, if the only tool in your tool belt is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. So don't focus on the hammer, focus on the hole in the wall, right? There's an opportunity here. There's a hole in the wall, and this hammer will help fix that problem. But before you can get into creating solutions and masterful closing language, let's first see where we're at. That's me. I always want to know where we're at. And that's, again, the importance of fact finding here. So as we delve into this process, right, and again, it's this art. I want to get in front of people. I've done that with the approach. And now I want to ask questions. One of the most important things for me to do before I get into the fact finding session, again, is to preface the why, right? I always tell people, my recommendations will be as good as the information that I provide, right? Because it happens, right? You book the meeting, you're sitting in front of the client, they go, hey, what do you got for me today? And you oblige. Well, you will see my company was established in 1852 and our financial strength is impeccable. Stop doing that. That doesn't work. When people ask me, what do you got for me today? I say, I have nothing for you today. I don't sell products. I solve problems, right? So by setting the table, here's what I want to do today. This is what I want to do. I want to ask you questions about your family. I want to ask you questions about your job. I want to ask you questions about your insurance and your investments so I know what you have. One of the most disalarming phrases that I use in my client meetings is, I never will undo any good work that you've done. I will never undo any good work that you've done. So if I identify the things, right, in your portfolio that are working and good, I don't want to change those things. Moreover, I will affirm them. Those areas of deficiency, however, the things that you could be doing better, or the things that you're not doing at all, I will identify them and, more importantly, tell you how we can solve those problems and fix those issues. Does that sound like a worthwhile process to you? And the client says, yes. If you follow me here, I'm building trust. I'm getting their engagement. I'm getting their buy-in to this process before I even go into products and value and the like. That really doesn't matter, right? I want to know where I'm at first, right? So I want to ask these questions. There's key questions, right? I can't tell you how many times advisors will come to me, right, and say, hey, Eszylfie, can you help me develop a solution for this client? And I say, yeah, I'll help you out, right? And I go, well, what's their income? And they go, man, I don't know, right? And I go, okay, well, what are their expenses? And they say, man, that's good, right? I didn't get that. And I go, well, what are the assets? And they go, man, Eszylfie, you're good. I'm like, no, I'm not good. This is basic stuff, right? Ask questions, and when you think you're done, ask more questions. If my average client meeting is an hour, it's really 50 minutes of asking questions, getting to know them, right? The numbers on the paper, right? The actual concrete data, and then more importantly, the why, right? And then last 10 minutes is recommendation, right? And last thing is do not assume, right? Our eyes sometimes can fail us. Have you not seen or experienced at this point in your career the people maybe with the nicest clothes and the fanciest cars and the big house on the hill? Those are the ones that live paycheck to paycheck, right? And the people that walk past you on the street with a soiled shirt, right, and jeans with holes in them are some of the most successful, wealthiest people you've ever met. And that's been my experience, right? Some of the most successful people I've ever met, right? You would never know if they walk past you on the street. And some of the people who I would have assumed were really successful and doing well had little to no planning whatsoever, and oftentimes not even the money to do so, because they were trying to keep up with the Joneses, and the perception of success was more important to them than actually saving money and establishing a sound financial future. So again, as I get into this fact finding, some people are going to give you that 50 minutes. Some people are going to give you 5, right? And so if I'm going to get any information in a fact finding session, the most important thing for me to know is income to expenses. What is the discretionary income? I need to know that, right? Then secondly, I need to know the assets. What do you have in savings? What do you have in investments? What do you have in retirement plans? What kind of, real estate or business interest do you hold? Those are the 2 most important things that I need to know: the discretionary income and the assets. Why? Because it really allows me to frame up the sale, right? I say this, make no mistake about it, right? When people say, Eszylfie, who is your ideal client? I say someone who can write a check, right? Whether they be a doctor or a lawyer or a banker or a professional athlete or entertainer is of no consequence to me, right? When I bring planning solutions to the table, when I identify deficiencies in your plan in relationship to where you say you want to be, can you do something about it? Can you write a check? That's important for me to know, right? Because unfortunately, again, we cannot help people that can't write checks. Just saying. Right? So for me, if I know, okay, there's discretionary income here, there's assets here, right? Then I'm good. And think about this way. Sometimes there are clients that are good, prospective clients rather, that have good discretionary income, but maybe they're early in their career. Maybe they just got out of law school. Maybe they just finished residency out of medical school, and now they're making 50 grand a month for the first time, right? But they don't have a lot of assets yet because they're just starting out in their career, right? Still a good client for me. Maybe you run into a school teacher. You can go, a school teacher? I don't know, Eszylfie. What do they make? 60, 65,000 a year? I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a good client for me. Well, a school teacher who's worked for the school district for 30 years, who has $1 million in their tax sheltered annuity, right? That needs to roll it over when they retire. That may very well actually be a good client, right? So for me, income to expenses, discretionary important, and assets. And then the last element that I don't have pictured here is, are they a good person? Do our core values align? Because you can have all the money in the world, all the income in the world, and if you're a nasty person or we don't get along, if there's not synergies there, I want nothing to do with it, right? And oftentimes, and I was told this when I started my career, you have arrived in this business where you can fire a client. And I used to go, fire a client? Like, I'll never fire a client, right? I mean, that's my livelihood. I need everyone, right? I mean, my client would have to do some unspeakable things to me to fire them. And even then, I'd probably forget them. Maybe they were just having a bad day, right? Like, no, right? How about this? How about this construct? How about everyone not deserves to be your client? I'm just saying. So the more I know about what's coming in, what's going out, what are the assets, are our core values in alignment? Do we get along? Do I want to work with you for the next 10, 20 years? Then, okay, now I can get into solution and planning. Make sense? Super important. It's so vital that we do this because we walk into situations. Many of us came into this business with an idea, with a plan. This is what it's going to be, right? And the great former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson said it best, right? He was preparing for a fight, and they said your opponent has devised a strategy. He has a plan to beat you, right? And he said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Right? And so when you get punched in the face, and make no mistake about it, do we not get punched in the face every day in this business, right? Whatever you thought you were going to get out of this industry when you came into it, probably, you had a rude awakening. But what a blessing to be in this industry, not only for what we can do for our own lives and our families in terms of the money that we make, but the impact we can have not only in our communities, on a smaller level, but the world at large. It's amazing, right? But for me, again, I don't want to assume anything. I don't want to just, jump into things blindly. I want to know, where are we at, right? Where are we at? And that's why fact finding is so important. And now I can develop this plan, because you go in selling product, you go in with your assumptions, you go in with your ideals, your bias, your agenda. You're going to get punched in the face and have more failures and more heartache than you need to have. I get it. It is tough. When I started in this business, I remember talking to a trainer of mine, and I was frustrated. I was like, oh, why do I need to go from house to house, office to office, and talk to people about all these things and ask all these questions? Why can't I go to downtown LA, be in Staples Center with 10,000 people in the audience, just do my thing, and have whoever's going to buy, and whoever's not interested, leave? Why can't I just do that? But no, I've got to go on this journey. And what I realized, and oftentimes I'll get asked, what would I now, being a 20 plus year veteran in this industry, what would I go back and tell my younger self is, there are no shortcuts. There is no easy way, right? There is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. You cannot circumvent this process. You must ask the questions, because you're going to miss key things. You're going to miss key things if you don't, right? The road to walk a mile begins with a single step. And I know it's nerve-wracking, and I know it's laborious. And truthfully, as you get good in this business, you are going to have, your intuition will kick in. You are going to, assume some things that are right. But every now and again, you're going to find, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, just because you asked. You didn't think there. You didn't even see the rainbow, right? But you ask questions that open one thing, open another. One case of mine comes to mind. I had an event here at my office, actually, and I hired some caterers to work the event, and I had a bartender working the event, and one of my junior agents was chatting it up with her, and the next day he says, "Hey, I was talking to that bartender, and she's interested in some planning stuff. Would you talk to her?" And I'm like, okay, bartender, like, what does she want? I'm like, maybe she wants to open up an IRA or something. I don't know, but okay, I'll go talk to her, right? So I'm talking to her, and I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And this is how mutual funds work, and this is how stocks work, and this is insurance. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm inheriting a little money, and I just need some help with it. And I'm like, okay, well, how much are you talking about? And it was $2 million, right? So I'm like, oh, told my staff, will you clear my next appointment? I'm busy for a little bit, right? But I say that to say, if I went on its surface level, like, this person's not worth my time, look at me, right? One, I wouldn't have had that opportunity for myself, but more importantly, there would have been a person that I could have helped that had value that just missed out, right? So I love the idea of helping people, regardless of what you assume, regardless of what you might think, and because you never know, and it might not even be that person. Maybe your intuition was right. Maybe they only have $10,000 to invest, and it's not worth your time. But you never know who they know, and you never know who's watching you, right? So help everyone, serve everyone. Don't circumvent the process. Take the necessary steps to succeed in this business by asking the right questions. And we'll get into the next session in identifying opportunities and adding more value to our clients. We're here, right? I think I say this a lot. Guys, I've had fact-finding sessions with my clients in excess of 20,000 times over the course of my 21-year career, right? So I am an expert at failing. I am an expert of missing things. I'm an expert in falling on my face, right? And I've created this system. I've created this language. I've created the Taylor method, so you don't have to go through the same things I have to go through. Now, make no mistake about it. You're going to have to do the work. Like I said, there's no shortcuts, right? But it's so important, so helpful to have a language and a process outlined for you that you can absorb and utilize and put into practice. So appreciate you guys. You can follow us on the variety of social media platforms we have, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and look forward to continuing to share with you. Until next time.